All right, so get ready because today we're diving deep into the Dutch language.
Yeah, someone sent over this really cool article from Lingualid.
And it really dives into how it's way more than just like tulips and windmills. Like, seriously, picture this.
You're walking into a cafe in Amsterdam.
And you casually order a coffee on appeltart.
With like perfect pronunciation.
How cool would that be?
Very cool.
Right.
This article basically breaks down
Right, everything you need to know about Dutch.
its global reach.
How it connects to English.
And even like those tricky little pronunciation things that everyone talks about.
Yeah, and when we say global reach,
Or not exaggerating.
Dutch has over 28 million speakers.
Wow.
And it's not just in the Netherlands.
It's an official language in Belgium. Surname.
And even parts of the Caribbean. Wow, I had no idea it was so widespread.
It's like that quiet friend you have.
Who just surprises you with like all these hidden talents.
Exactly.
And speaking of surprises,
Let's talk about Afrikaans.
that connection they mentioned in the article.
It's actually fascinating.
Yeah.
Afrikaans is spoken in South Africa?
And it's a direct descendant of Dutch.
I remember that.
They even mention how wildebeest.
Came into English from Afrikaans.
Right.
And it's not just a few shared words.
Afrikaans actually preserves some older forms of Dutch.
So it's like a window into how the language has changed over time.
So it's like a linguistic time capsule.
That makes you wonder like what other words have those kind of roots.
Exactly. And that kind of ties into the bigger picture of language families.
Dutch, English, and German.
They all belong to the West Germanic branch.
So they share common ancestors, so to speak.
Oh, wow.
It's like they're siblings who all inherited the same nose.
From their great-great-grandmother.
I did notice some of those shared words the article pointed out.
Like appel, peer, blau.
They're almost identical in English.
Precisely.
Those cognates, they're a lifesaver for beginners.
But it's not all easy.
Dutch has its own unique character.
Especially when it comes to grammar.
Oh, right. The article mentioned Dutch grammar being way simpler than German.
Something to do with cases, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Think of cases like different endings you add to a word.
Depending on its role in the sentence.
German uses them a lot.
While Dutch has simplified them.
Significantly.
So it's like German is like that sibling who like overthinks everything.
And Dutch is like, let's just keep it simple.
That's a great way to put it.
For example, let's say you want to say the man in German.
It'd be der Mann.
But to say with the man.
You'd have to change it to mit dem Mann.
You see how the article in front of man changes?
That's the case system at work?
Okay. I'm starting to see why that could be a headache.
In Dutch, you'd just use de man for both.
The man and with the man.
Much more straightforward.
Right.
That's so interesting.
So Dutch keeps things nice and simple in the grammar department.
But what about how it actually sounds?
The article actually calls out Dutch pronunciation as like
A potential challenge.
particularly that infamous G.
Ah, yes.
The Dutch G.
It's definitely distinctive.
You could say it's the sound that clears a room.
Or at least startles anyone who's unfamiliar with it.
Yeah.
I've heard it described as like a throat-clearing sound.
Is that accurate? That's a good place to start.
It's a guttural
I
sound,
mean the back of your throat.
similar to the heat in loch.
If you're familiar with like Scottish pronunciation.
Imagine clearing your throat.
But with more force and a touch of like a H at the end.
Okay.
I'm trying it.
But I think I sound more like a sputtering engine.
Then like a fluent Dutch speaker.
Don't worry.
It takes practice.
The key is to not be afraid to really use those back of the throat muscles.
Think of it like a vocal workout.
Challenge accepted,
The article mentioned the word good.
meaning good as an
Yeah.
example.
That's a great example.
In Dutch, it's not good, like in English.
It's more like a guttural goot.
Goot.
Got it.
I can already feel my throat muscles working.
In ways they haven't before.
That's a common reaction.
But like the article said, mastering these sounds.
It's more than just sounding cool.
It shows that you respect the culture.
And you're willing to really engage with the language.
That's a really good point.
It's like putting in the effort to pronounce someone's name correctly.
It shows you care.
Absolutely.
And speaking of effort,
Let's address the elephant in the room.
why even learn Dutch?
The article mentioned that English is like widely spoken in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
So is learning Dutch even like necessary?
It's a valid question.
Especially for people who are short on time.
Or are already juggling like multiple languages?
What's the payoff?
Well, think of it like this.
You can definitely get surface-level interactions.
And really immerse yourself in the culture.
It's like the difference between ordering a coffee
And having a real conversation with
a local about their favorite coffee shop.
Exactly.
It's about accessing those deeper layers
Of connection and
that
understanding.
language just unlocks.
The article also mentions...
Like the professional advantages of learning Dutch.
Absolutely.
The Netherlands has an amazing...
International business scene.
Being fluent in Dutch can be really valuable.
Especially if you're thinking about working there.
It shows.
A commitment to understanding their culture and way of doing business.
And let's not forget about those, like...
Personal connection.
The article shared that anecdote.
About 82% of successful Dutch learners keeping a daily diary.
It's such a simple but powerful technique.
By using the language consistently.
Even in a personal diary.
You're reinforcing what you learn.
And building those neural pathways.
That just make the language feel more natural.
Yeah.
It's like working out a muscle.
The more you use it,
the stronger it gets.
Imagine all the doors that opens up.
Not even just professionally.
But personally, too.
Instead of just like visiting the Netherlands.
You could actually make real friends there.
Navigate everyday life.
Even understand those like cultural things.
That make it so unique.
Right.
It's like the difference between
watching a travel show about a place
and actually going there.
Learning the language lets you connect with the culture.
In a way that you just can't by watching.
It really makes you think.
How differently would you experience a place?
If you could actually speak and understand what everyone was saying.
It's really cool.
It really changes your perspective.
So to recap.
We learned that Dutch is this surprisingly global language.
With these deep historical roots.
And like fascinating connections to English.
And Africans?
Plus it has that unique sound.
That gooty that we learned.
It takes some practice.
It really shows a deeper level of respect.
And engagement.
Right. And let's not forget.
All those practical benefits.
From career stuff.
To just immersing yourself in the culture.
There's a lot to gain from learning Dutch.
Totally.
If this deep dive got you interested in Dutch.
Maybe download a language app.
Or find a language partner online.
Who knows? This could be the push you needed.
To finally book that trip to Amsterdam.
I love that.
One last thing for you to think about.
We've been talking about how language connects us.
To different cultures and histories.
But if you could learn any language in the world.
So understand its people better.
What would it be?
And why?
That's something to think about.
That's all the time we have for this deep dive.
See you next time.